Okay, so we're starting here in Chav Ches Amud Beis. Today we have some continuing with the Agadita, with the stories of the Gemara. So it says like this: Umaspitim bahem hesped shel rabim. The question was, what could you do in a shul that you no longer use? Well, you can use it to make a. Oh, no, that's even in a regular shul. Sorry, take that back. In the regular shul, you can do a public maspidim b'hamel rabim, that you could make a public eulogy over there. So the Gemara says, Heichi domi hespeda derabim. What does it mean, a eulogy for the many? What does that exactly mean? So Machvi Rab Chizda, so Rab Chizda pointed, and he said, Kigoin hespeda dekoi bei Rabbi Sheshus. It's a eulogies in which Rabbi Sheshus will attend, or it's something which is in the attendance of Rabbi Sheshus, because of the honor of Rabbi Sheshus, that he was such a great sage. And if he goes to the eulogy, that means that a lot of people are going to come to the eulogy. That makes it into a public eulogy. As Rashi says, Kigoin hespeda dekoi bei Rabbi Sheshus. Im yomus odom echod bi Rabbi Sheshus. So in Rashi, it seems like if a person dies in Rabbi Sheshus's, or where Rabbi Sheshus will attend, that's the way it's mostly understood. Or bi Rabbi Sheshus would mean in maybe in the house of Rabbi Sheshus, an important person. But it seems like if a person in the house of Rabbi Sheshus will die, then Rabbi Sheshus will attend. Maybe he didn't just attend anybody's eulogy, so that would be considered a place where many will come. Machvi Rabbi Sheshus, and Rabbi Sheshus pointed, he said, Kigoin hespeda dekoi bei Rabbi Chizda. He pointed to that it will be a eulogy in which Rabbi Chizda will attend. So Rabbi Sheshus was saying a eulogy where Rabbi Chizda attend. Rabbi Chizda said a eulogy where Rabbi Sheshus attends, and Rabbi Sheshus in turn said a eulogy that Rabbi Chizda attends. Okay, that was probably to give honor to each other. Each one considered the other one the great person, so they said each one in the other one's place. The Gemara further says that Rafram, who was a sage, Aspedo lekalte bebei knishta. He made the eulogy for his daughter-in-law, his son's wife who passed away. Bebei knishta. He made the eulogy in the shul. Amar, and he gave the reasoning. He said, "It's mishum yikoro didi." Because of the cherishing of myself and of the person who passed away, Osu kula alma, everybody will come. So Rafram said that this will become a hesped shel rabim because of the honor of Rafram and also of the deceased. The Gemara says now, and the Gemara brings a contrast between the let's go first. Reb Zera, similar to Reb Zera, Sabde lahu merabonon bebei knishta. He eulogized one of the sages in the shul, and again, Omar, his argument was, imishum yikora didi. Mishum Yikora Didei Demisa, either because of my being cherished by the community, or because the one who passed, he's being cherished, everybody is going to come. Osu kula alma, everybody will come. Omar imishum yikora didi imishum yikora demisa. Havele hesped shel rabim. That makes it a public eulogy because all of these people will come. Osu kula alma lispoint. Everybody is going to come to eulogize, and that's why he did it in the shul. Now the Gemara now makes a contrast between the eulogy said by Rish Lakish in Eretz Yisrael, who lived in Eretz Yisrael, and the eulogy said by Rab Nachman Bar Yitzchak, Rab Nachman, who lived in Babylonia. The Gemara says that the people in Eretz Yisrael were more generous with their eulogies than the people of Babylonia with their eulogy. Says the Gemara, Reish Lakish Savdei Lahu Tsurba Merabona. Reish Lakish eulogized this student of the rabbis, meaning a young scholar, the Shkiach Ba'arad Yisrael, that was found himself, he was in the land of Eretz Yisrael. The Habitoni Hilchasa, he would learn the laws. The laws are called Mishnayos because they're without the commentary. The Habitoni Hilchasa Shahoya Shoine Mishnayos L'Talmidim. Actually, he was teaching the Mishnayos to the Talmidim, but he was on the 24th line, B'chov Dalet Shurta. He was B'chov Dalet Shurta Shel Talmidim, which means he was in the way it's understood that he wasn't in the first line, he wasn't in the second line, he was all the ways in the 24th line. So that means he was pretty low down, but he was, I guess each line would teach their students over there, but he would teach them over there. So Omar, so what did he say? So what did Reish Lakish say in the eulogy? What did he say for this rabbi? Omar Vaychosra Arod Yisrael Gavra Rabu. Whoa, the land of Israel has been lacking a great man. So that means even though he was just teaching on the 24th row and he wasn't up there and he wasn't such a great scholar, he was learning Mishnayos, and yet he eulogized them by saying that the land of Israel is lacking a great man. Contrast that, the Gemara brings down Ahud Avitoni, there was this person he would be studying. He learned Hilchasa, that's the Mishnayos. He learned the Sifra, the Sifri. Those are the brises on the Chomoshim and Tosefta. V'shochiv, and he passed away. Also, so the people came and asked Rab Nachman Bar Yitzchak, they told him, L'sabdei mar, Master, why don't you, let's please eulogize him. So Omar, so he said, now here we're talking about a individual who learned a lot more than just the Hilchasa. He learned more. And yet, what was the response of Rab Nachman? He says, how should I eulogize him? Heichi aspid. In other words, b'mai aspadeno. With what can I eulogize him? Hey tzina, the mole sifra, the chosre. He is a basket full of books, but he's lacking. When you don't learn Gemara, You learn just the Mishnah. You don't know the reasonings, so you're lacking. So he says, how do you want me to eulogize him? Because while he learned all this Sifra, Hilchas Sifra, V'Sifri, V'Tesefta, he learned all these different laws, but they were without the Gemara, without the explanation. So he says, how do you expect me to eulogize him? So he didn't want to eulogize him, even though he was on a bigger level than that rabbi that in Eretz Yisrael that Reish Lakish eulogized. Let's do the Rashi. What does it mean? Heit sana mali sifre. It is a basket full of books. Zogt Rashi the choser. The eino yelu kisal shemiluhu svarim. He's only like a basket that they filled it up with books. Ve'ein mevin ma betoicha. He doesn't understand what's inside. So he says like this: Av shoyna haloches. Also, one who learns halachas. But he did not serve the scholars, lilmoid, to learn sheyivenu tame Mishnah, that they should give him an understanding in the reasonings of the Mishnah. So that's a problem. He says, Mishnah, sometimes the words of the Mishnah contradict one another. And you need to sort of answer it. You need to reconcile it when you find a contradiction. Going, as the Gemara usually says, here how are we dealing with to reconcile? Or Kigoin, or sometimes it says, Amani Rabbi Pliny, this is like this rabbi. Ukigoin, and sometimes we use the language, the Surah Mechsera. So in that case, he's like doesn't know, he doesn't know what he is learning. So he says, I don't have what to eulogize him with. So the Gemara says, Tochazi, come and see Ma bein Tekifed Aredi Yisrael, the difference between the tough ones of Israel and the Chasidei, the righteous one of Babylonian. Which means Reish Lakish, who eulogized him, he was considered the tough one of Israel, and yet he found it necessary to eulogize him and say that Israel lost a great man. And Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak, who was considered to be a righteous in Bavel, he couldn't eulogize this rabbi, even though he was very learned. So look at the difference, the Gemara says. The difference between the tough ones of Eretz Yisrael, L'chasidei the Bavel, to the righteous ones of Bavel. Tekif Aradi Yisrael, who are referring to Zokrashi, that's Reish Lakish. The Amrinon b'Meseches Yuma, what makes him so tough? The Gemara says in Masechta Yuma, certain people, when the great rabbi associates with them, they take this as a sign that that person is trustworthy. So if you would, for instance, if the great rabbi, if Reish Lakish would talk to somebody, so people would assume that the person he's talking with is a worthy person, that you can give him a loan, that you can sell him without collecting. Why? Because if he wasn't an honest and a upright person that is going to pay, then Reish Lakish, the rabbi, wouldn't talk to him. So the Gemara says like this in Maseches Yuma: Da'afilu bahadi Rabbi bar Chana was a sage. So even with him, loy mishtoi, Reish Lakish wouldn't talk to him. Why did he not talk to him? Because the man de mishtoi bahadi Reish Lakish b'shuka. Because anybody who would talk to Reish Lakish in the market, if Reish Lakish talked to you, Yovin le'iski b'lo sadeh, they would do business with you without witnesses. They would trust you. You would be trustworthy. You don't need any witnesses. So Reish Lakish, the tough guy, the tough rabbi would not even talk with Rabbi bar Chana. So that They shouldn't do business with Rabbi Chaim without finding witnesses. So, such a tough guy, yet he eulogized him. On the other hand, Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak, he was considered from the righteous, from the Hasidim of Babel, the Hasidim Babel. This is Bishila Mesechta Soita, in the end of Soita. The Ka'omar Lei, because over there he says, when the Tana says that there is no longer people that fear heaven, he said to them, don't say fear of heaven because there is I fear heaven. So we see that he was a fear of heaven, he was a chassid, he was a righteous person, and yet he did not want to. Yeah, let me tell him, yes. Or no, he said he can't get in. Oh, I see him now. Sorry, Misha, I didn't realize you're waiting for me. Okay. Zog the Gemara weiter. Tanan Hosom, we learned in the Mishnah, Udi Ishtamish Betago Chalof, that one who uses the crown, which crown? One who uses the crown of Torah, the Keser Torah. One who uses the crown of Torah, Chalof, should be passed away, doesn't deserve life. What does it mean, Taga? Zokt Rashi, Keser Torah. That's the crown of Torah. One who uses the crown of Torah. Chalof is removed, Avar min olam, removed from this world. So what does it mean using the crown of Torah? So simply, literally, it would mean, using the crown of Torah would mean using Torah as a means for your parnasa, for your livelihood, using Torah for that. But here, we learned in the Mishnah, Tanu Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish learned that what does the Mishnah mean? Not literally using Torah itself, but using a person who studies Torah. Zeh hamishtamish b'mi sheshoyne hilchas kisra shel Torah. The misheshoyne halachas, that is one who studies Mishnah, which is the crown of Torah. So you not only can you not use the Torah itself, but someone who learns and studies the crown of Torah, he too should not be used, not to use them. And Ula follows up with another statement from a story. Omar Ula, and Ula said, "Lishtamish inish b'man detoni arba'o." A person may use and take advantage or get the help of somebody who learned four. Four means he learned four orders. He hasn't learned all the orders of the Mishnah. So if he learned four, okay, you can still use that person. But not to use somebody who taught others the four orders of the Mishnah. And the reason he says four is because the Gemara is going to follow it up with a story. The Gemara follows this up with a story about somebody who learned only four orders, and then he was used by the rabbi, allowed him to serve him, to help him. But Ula says, yes, that person learned. But if you teach four, no, don't use it. And he gives the story, Kihod Reish Lakish have a ozel beurcha. Reish Lakish was going on the road. Moto urkimo demaya. So he came to a puddle of water. It was a high puddle. Urkimo demaya zoktrashi shlulis shalmayim mechunosim. It was a puddle of collected water. So it interfered. He couldn't walk through in the water. Also, ahu gavra. So this man came. Arkeve akasve. He put him on his shoulders. And he was taking him across the puddle. So he put Reish Lakish on his shoulder, and he was crossing the puddle with him. Amar lei. So as he was carrying him, Reish Lakish says to the person carrying him, Paris, did you learn Chumash? Are you learned in the Chumash? Amar lei, yes, Karina, yeah, I learned Chumash. So he asks him further, Tanis, did you learn Mishnah? So he answered, Tanina arba sidrei Mishnah. I learned 4 orders of the Mishnah. Omar lei. So Reish Lakish says to the person, Hasalta l'cha arba turi. You have carved out for yourself 4 mountains, meaning you learned 4 orders of the Mishnah. You carved out 4 mountains. V'ta'amta bar Lakish akisfech, and you load Reish Lakish, the son of Lakish. It's Reb Shimon ben Lakish. We call him Reish Lakish, but it's Reb Shimon ben Lakish, and you're carrying the son of Lakish on your shoulders. Shadi bar Lakish b'maya. Put the son of Lakish into the water. I don't want you to. Don't carry me. Put me in the water. You've learned all this Mishnah. Amar lei. So he said to him, Nichali de ashmi'inan lemar. It is good for me, comfortable for me. I appreciate being able to serve my master. He says, the ashmi'inan sha'ashamish le'adoni. I can serve you. So he wanted to make him into his student, and then he's has a right to serve him. So he says, Ihochi Gaboir mini hamilsa. So in that case, he says, learn from me the following matter. So he says, I want to teach you something. Once I teach you, you're going to be my student. So then it's going to be okay that you carry him. So he told him a halacha. The Omar Rab Zera said, Benois Yisrael hein hichmiru al atzma. Jewish daughters, they became stringent upon themselves. They were more stringent than the law requires. What is their stringency? Sha'afilu royes tipas dam kechardel yeshveis olav shivnikim. Even if they only see a drop of blood the size of a mustard, yet they will sit 7 nikiyim, 7 clean days, after seeing that drop like a mustard blood, to wait 7 clean days before they go to the mikvah. And that is a stringency which is not required by the law. Today, there's a chumrah anyways, anytime, but this is talking about before the chumrah that there's always the shiva nikiyim. And Rashi explains, along Rashi here, what is this idea of the 7 clean days? The midday raisa ain't srich shiva nikiyim. From the Torah, you don't have to wait 7. It's not required 7 clean days. Elo haroye shloisha yomim ritzufim. Only if you meet the following condition, that you see, you have a sighting of blood during 3 consecutive days, and those are b'toich yud aleph yoim, in middle of the 11 days, Shabein Nida Linida, which are in between Nida and Nida. Basically, there is the way it goes, there is 7 days, and then there is 11 days. 7, 11, 7, 11. That's the way the menstrual cycle, as far as the halacha looks at it. There is 11 days in between Nida and Nida. If in those 11 days, after the 7 days, a woman sees 3 consecutive days, then she has to wait 7 nikim. Avol bitchilas nidoso, but in the beginning of the time of the 7 days of the nidas, afilu roso kol shiva, even if she would see consecutively the entire 7 days, uposko lo erev, and at the evening she stops, she doesn't have to wait shiva nikim, toiveles belaylo. Then she can immerse herself at nighttime. She doesn't have to wait 7 clean days. That's within the shiva, the 7 days that are the nida days. The hein hechmiru al atzmam, but the women were more stringent upon themselves. And the reason why they were stringent, because not all women are proficient, know when the opening of the nidas are, where they're standing, on the 11 days between nida and nida. They don't know exactly. So therefore, they always consider it as being in the 11 days. But the question is, well, we need 3 consecutive days. So if you will say, okay, maybe those are the 11 days, maybe it's not in the 7 days. But they should only say, but at least it should have to have 3 consecutive. Because that we learn from the Pasuk, the Pasuk says, Yomim Rabim, Beloy Eis Nidoso, meaning many days with not during the time of her nidas, meaning not during the period of nidas, but in the 11 days in between. Yomim Rabim, it's plural, and many, it's a total of 3. So the answer is Pa'amim, because sometimes Sharias Dam Nida Maskikoso Lishiva Nekim Min HaTorah. Sometimes just seeing the Dam of Nida would require her to 7 Nida and Nekim of the Torah. What would be the case? Ketzad. How so? Ischila Lisper Shiva Nekim La'achar Shahoisa Zava Gomorrah. Say that she started counting the 7 clean days after she was a complete Zava. She was a Zava, which means she saw 3 consecutive days. And she counted for 7 days. The Sofra Shiva Nekim. And then she counted 7 clean days. Ubashvi, and that the 7th day, then she sees even a small size, like a size of a mustard. Sosra hakoil, then she has knocked off everything. Shiva Nikim. And then she has to start counting the Shiva Nikim again. So sometimes one sighting can make you count Shiva Nikim. So because of that, they made a stringency, will always wait Shiva Nikim. In Nami, another situation where you would count Shiva Nikim, Shema Rosso Shnei Yomim V'lo Yoda. Maybe she didn't realize that there were 2 days before, V'yom Rosso V'yoda, and today she found out about it. That makes it the Havalu Shlosh Yomim Ritzufim. That would make it 3 consecutive. Utzricha Shiva Nikim, and she needs 7 Nikim. Malkei Nachmiru, that's why they were strict. Okay. Finally, so the Gemara says, Tana Devei Eliyahu. They learned in the yeshiva of Eliyahu. Kol Hashoyna Halochis muftach loy shehu ben olam habo. Anyone who learns halachas is guaranteed that he will be in the world to come. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, halichos olam loy. That's the pasuk. Halichos, he has the world. Al tikra halichos, don't pronounce it halichos, ella halachos. Halachos, you get the world. Which world are we talking about? We're talking about olam haba. You learn halachos, you get olam haba. Let's learn another piece of Gemara. Tana Rabbana. We learned the Nebraisa. Let's turn the page to Chavtes Amad. We learned the Nebraisa. Mevatlin Talmud Torah La'itzoes Hameis Ulachnosas Kalo. We will we talked about before the great level of learning Torah, etc. So the Gemara brings down other advantages of study of Torah. But the Gemara says, let's say you're in the middle of studying Torah, and then there is a funeral, or God forbid a funeral, or you have to a chuppah. So should you interrupt your learning to go participate in the funeral? Should you interrupt your learning in order to go and escort the deceased to give honor for the levaya? And so he says, we learned in the Braisa that mevatlin Talmud Torah, we would take away time from study of Torah, loitzos hameis ulachnosas hakalo, for taking out the mace and taking him to bury, and to bringing the kala into the chuppah. How does it mean lachnos hakala? Lilavoisa mibeis aviha, to escort her from her father's home, lebeis chuppasa, to the place of the chuppah, of the canopy, where she's going to be coming to her husband. Apparently, in those days, they used to have a procession from the home of the father's home, and they, just like we escort in the Tzoras HaMeis, they would escort the Kala from her home to the chuppah, to the place where is the chuppah. Says the Gemara, Amru Olav al Rabbi Yehuda bar Eloi, the same thing was said about Rabbi Yehuda, the son of Eloi, Shohi Mevatel Talmud Torah, that he would take away time from learning Torah, loitzos hameis ulachnosas hakala, to take out the mace and to bring in the kala. But the Gemara stipulates, it is only if there isn't enough for the honor, the need for the escort. Avol yesham kol tzorkoi. But in a case where there is all needs, we have plenty of people already escorting, ein mevatlin, then we will not waste. Frag the Gemara, v'kama kol tzorkoi. How much is considered to be all of the needs? How much is it? So the Gemara, Omar Rav Shmuel bar Inya, said Rav Shmuel bar Inya, Bashmei the Rab, in the name of Rab, Treiser Alfi Gavri, 12,000 men, the Shita Alfi Shipura, and 6,000 horns. Can you imagine? That's considered to be enough of an honor for the Mesa, for the Kala. 12,000 men and 6,000 horns blowing. And other people say, not additional 6,000 horn blowers, but Treisar Alfi Gavri, 12,000 men, Uminayu, and of them you have Shifa Alta Shipura, you have 6,000 horns. So you have a total of 12,000 plus 6,000 of them blow horns. Ula Amar, Ula says another thing. that you need to make a procession of the people from the gate of Apula to the place of burial. He says, "Kegoin the Chaitzi Gavra." The people are a procession. Me'abula, that's the name of the place, the gate of Abila. Ad Sikra, until the closing, which means the closing of the grave, the burial place. Going the Chaitzi Gavra, Ma'abula Sikra. Chaitzi means there is a partition, there is a fence of people. Mechitzas Anoshim, that's a fence of people. Mishar Ha'ir, from the gate of the city, from Abula, Ad Beis HaKvoros, till the cemetery, Mokim Shesevdim Oisisham, in which they eulogize him that. Rav Sheshes Somar, he says even more, well, we're talking about a sage over here for a Talmud Chacham. He says, just like when the Torah was given, it was 600,000 people. That's the same thing when you take away the Torah. When you take a scholar, you need 600,000 people. Kinisinoso shel Torah. Man nisinoso b'shishim ribui. Just as it was given, there were 600,000 people. Af nitilos, also when it's taken, samach ribu, you need 60 times 10,000, 600,000 people. But the Gemara qualifies this. Animililam and the kori v'toni. This goes for some who learned Chumash and he learned Mishnayos. Avo leman the masni, but the one who learns that he continues, teaches others. That's why we said before the difference between teaching other and learning yourself. And one who teaches others, there's no measure. So therefore, I guess you should always be ready to be there to eulogize. And I guess the more, the better.